What up? Yes, we in the building.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on? It's Saturday.
Saturday, and it feels like a Saturday. It's been a long but productive week.
I'm so happy. Next week is spring break. The kid is off, so I'm off. We all tired. So when he off, we off.
We all off, right?
Happy Easter to everyone.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. What a wonderful time.
So before we get started, y'all know what to do. We want everybody to share so they can see we've come on, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This week, we talking about the Benjamins, honey.
Let's talk. Oh, no, it's wrong song. Wrong song.
Yes, not that song. And if you're joining us on YouTube, do the same thing. Subscribe so you know when we go live. But for those of you who catch it on the replay, drop us a comment, leave us a question. Don't forget to watch the video and give us feedback, what questions you have. And this is an interactive conversation, so we definitely want you guys to talk to us because it helps make the conversation, in the doctor's words, more rich. Yes, ma'am. I'm listening to you.
Exactly.
And we're definitely having honest conversation about family, marriage, and community, and building community through this wonderful partnership that we have with one another. So let's get started talking about money mindset matters. This is kind of heavy, y'all, in the prep room.
Yes,
so
it
what
was.
y'all say?
Well, this is well, first of all, introduce yourself in case people.
Oh, I was ready. You know, this is my lane.
I know.
I got whole degrees in this area.
Go ahead.
All right. As y'all, for those of you who don't know, I'm Lisa Lewis Daniels. I am the founder of Lionheart Society, where we want to see all clients win when it comes to career, parenthood, and marriage. And so we are there to support our clients when they're making those pivotal decisions around those areas of life. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to the doctor.
You know, I love how people say the doctor. As if it's a disease or something. No, I'm just playing with you. I am Dr. Katina Fuller Scott. I am a leadership training and development expert, a national speaker, and a coach and proud founder of Be What Matters. We are a personal and professional development company for leaders, entrepreneurs, and change makers in diverse communities. And our goal is to help you be the best of who you are in what you do. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Poet, spoken word artist, author himself. Go ahead, Tobias.
And whole resident husband.
Absolutely.
I am Itrick Tobias, the third member of this great dynamic team. Author, poet, MSW. Hopefully my book will be out soon, so please support it. I will let you know when it's out. And now we can go ahead and get the show started.
Oh, yes.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Let's go.
So we brought this subject up because I brought the subject up because I realized it was Financial Literacy Month. April is. And so, if we were discussing this dynamic in the relationship because money causes arguments in relationships. And we wanted to see who else might be having these issues in our community, because we just can't be alone. We can't be the only one having these conversations, right? So according to Dave Ramsey, the number one issue that couples fight about and can lead, and the second reason that leads to divorce is money. because it's very important to have these conversations about money, because individual and collective mindsets impact the overall decisions and honestly the progression of the unit, whether it moves forward or backwards based on the money decisions that are made between the couple. So today we're going to talk about the impact of those decisions and that one vow that people, or the side of the vow that people forget about. It says richer or for poor, but as the doctor said, people never think that they're going to be poor.
Nope.
But it does happen. It does happen. And so, as well as the vows of in sickness and in health, you know, unemployment for many people has happened, specifically increasingly during the pandemic. So we're sensitive to that. But even in the midst of all of that, we thought it was important to have this conversation about money, because we collectively want to see people win in their relationships, right? So
absolutely,
let's kick it off.
Come on with it. Like we've been talking behind the scenes, and we want to give a shout out to everyone who is in the audience. Lorna, good to see you. Good to see you in the chat. Please, those of you, definitely let us know if you have questions, and you know what to do. So let's go, Lisa. Let's have this conversation, because Tobias almost had to do a referee on the other side. Here's what it is.
Listen, you can't come for me in this area. I mean, I got papers.
Oh,
I got papers.
And so in her place.
And so it's important to me, as one of the individually in my own relationship and even in talking to others, for them to hopefully understand the place in which money plays in their relationship. And I say that because I've been with my husband, I guess collectively, we've been together about 17 years. And thankfully and prayerfully, we've literally never had a conversation, never had an argument over money. Not that we haven't had tension or because we wanted to go a certain direction and there had to be a resolution, but we literally haven't had an argument over money, because I think one of our primary values are we don't live above our means. In fact, we live dramatically below, which has allowed us, I think, room to pivot when necessary, when things come up. So we want to talk about the mindset around money, because I think collectively, I speak for all of us, it's a mindset, and what from that mindset, everything else flows. So Dr. Katina, can you talk to us about the growth and fixed mindset?
Yes. Okay. So we always talk about how we come as an individual to the collective, right? We're building this home, and we're each bringing our own perspective, our own styles to the relationship. And so often we are also bringing our mindset to these certain situations. So a fixed mindset is often developed around disappointment, failure, where there was lack, where you didn't feel a sense of belonging. And so you start operating in a fixed mindset, or a very limiting belief about it. Whereas a growth mindset is, let's learn from our mistakes. Let's have strategy. And I'm talking really right now in alignment with talking about money, right? And there's so many areas for people who may have grown up in situations where they just didn't have a lot of money. So when they get older, their mindset is coming into a relationship, oh, nobody's going to ever control my money. That word, my money. Nobody's going to control my money. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. I'm going to buy what I want to buy. And that works for you. And that's cool when you're an individual. But when you come into relationship, we got to have a different conversation. And so, yes, I just wanted to raise that up about how important our mindset is, because our mindset influences our actions. is directly aligned with our actions and how we show up. And you can say all day, I value something, but if your mindset isn't what you say you value, it's going to show up in your actions. So thank you so much.
And also your values show up in your checking account.
Oh, you just gonna start early, huh?
Well, I'm just saying, that's not something we talked about in the prep, but it made me think about, really, if you want to know what someone values, look at the way they spend their money and their time. That's what tells you really what a person values. So y'all don't look at mine, because mine says spa sometimes.
Because what you value, you invest in, and that's what you put your money towards, right? And so, yeah, that's a great point, Lisa. We didn't talk about that before, but that's an excellent point.
Excellent. And so, yeah, so therefore, to your point, when you get married, the values that you have should somewhat align. So therefore, there's not this constant tension about the direction in which the couple's going. So
absolutely.
I heard Bishop Jake say that we can't be upset if something fails if we underfund it with our attention.
So, wait a minute. Back up. What happened?
What?
Right. What did he say?
So I was blown away when I heard it as well. And I was like, wow. So in terms of when you're talking about the money aspect, and you saying that we often, where we invest in what we believe in. So if you can't be upset at something failing if I'm not funding it.
Yeah.
I have to be invested in it in order for it to work. There's no other way around it.
You got to have some seeds there to see a harvest, for sure. They talk about the harvest. I'm waiting on my harvest, and you didn't plant a seed.
Right.
You don't even have temperature up. You
right.
No.
Nothing. Zero. Nada.
So Lisa, I want you to take us into this conversation about his versus hers versus ours.
Is that the same as my money? Is that the same as my money?
It's my money.
Okay. That's okay.
It's the same.
No.
Okay.
We got a problem.
I will give you the floor, because you feel more strongly about this than I do. And then I'll just fill in.
Tag me. I'm in. Yeah. So we had this conversation when it comes about his versus hers versus ours, right? And so I'm very aware that I go to work, I'm an entrepreneur, I do what I do, and I bring money back, right? But my husband, bless his heart, often says these words, and it drives me insane. He'll do something nice, even if it's nice or just something for her, and he'll say, "Don't worry about it. I use my money." And I'm saying, what money do you have that's not considered our money? And so we had this very vivid conversation in planning with Miss Lisa over here, Coach Lisa, and Tobias was our referee. So I'm interested in Lisa having let's have conversation around that. Go ahead.
So for me, when I first got married to my husband, I had the conversation like, okay, how are we going to do this? Are we having separate accounts, joint accounts? What are we going to do? And because what I didn't want was that I work hard every day. And I literally told him this. I'm not going to ask you for money to go buy tampons. Like, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
You buy them. He's bought them for me, but I'm just not having this conversation. I'm going to go to the store and get what I need. And so it ended up, we have a joint account where all our money, doctor, goes into the account, but some of the money goes into individual accounts. So if he wants to go out with his boys, I want to go out with my girls, I want to go to the spa, I want to buy a book, I want to buy the baby something. Like, it's not this constant conversation of mother may I. I personally think that agitates grown folks, but that's just me. What I do think, though, is you can't take that same account and have bad intentions, because that's a whole nother conversation. But as far as the money or the distinction, it's my money, because I went to work every day.
Wait.
Here we go.
That works for you when you are living. So this is another thing he used to do, and I had to get it straight. And I understand that he is fully married, right? But he would be jamming to that Cameo song, living that single life. And I feel like that mindset of my money comes from a single life perspective.
No.
That's
what. So again, I think it's the intent. So I am not going to take our money, his money, nobody's money, and do ill will. So every decision that I make is based on my individual decision, or our collective decision is to further the unit. But if I decide one day not to be a part of the unit, guess what? My name is on that check.
So here's where I stand on that. If you decide to not be a part of the unit, it better be a very private conversation with you, yourself, and you. Because don't bring up that you made that. Okay, I'm sorry. Did I go there? But I agree that every day is a choice, for sure. As much as we're talking and laughing, every day is a choice. It's something about hearing the words "mine," and that's something that I'm still working through. Is understanding. It's not necessarily he's trying to put up a wall, and I'm always wondering, is this coming from a place because, again, we both have been previously married. Right? So all that comes with that mindset into this relationship, is he coming with that mindset into this, or is this just how he feels? Like, I'm going to do what I need to do for the house, but it's my money.
We need counseling. What you say? We a couple today.
By default, it technically is his money. As Lisa eloquently stated, his name is on the check. And your name is on your check. It doesn't say ours when the check comes in. It says your husband's name. So again, the goal is to share it. And as Lisa eloquently stated, it's something I choose to do. And so it's not something I have to do. But if you keep checks and balances on the money, then chances are someone's going to end up frustrated and someone's going to end up upset with hurt feelings. So please, by any means, do not keep checks and balances on who did this and who did what, because that's not going to end well for either of you.
Yeah, I think that's also why we started with the joint account, because it all goes in there. So I do agree that that's a mindset. Like, we start off together. Regardless of who makes more or whatever, it all goes in together. So when it goes out to his individual account or my individual account, like, it's not even something I do. I set it up where it's automatic. It's so he can do what he needs to do. Again, you going out there doing some foolishness, his money, my money, the Santa Claus money, that ain't the conversation we're going to be having. It's going to be like, what? What are you doing? So I mean, I think it's intention, and the intention should be that everybody, or the goal should be that everybody has what they need to be happy and whole in the relationship, and not do some foolishness.
Yeah. And I'm definitely grateful that he does what he, and we both do, right? We were very conscious in having separate accounts and all of that, which is fine. But I don't like the words, and I don't know if it's just the wording that gets to me, because it comes to this seed, and maybe it's because I've gone through divorce. I'm always conscious of the seeds that are planted and watered through the words we use, right? And so that's the space that I'm still looking through. So yeah, go ahead.
No, that's fair.
If we look at it in terms of, okay, marriage is a covenant. We all agree on that. But in its essence, marriage is also a concept. So if we look at the mindset, it speaks to the mindset of it, which means both of us have to buy into this. So if we don't buy into the mindset or the concept, then again, what exactly are we doing? And then we look in the terms of the his, hers, and ours, it speaks to discipline. And if I have as Lisa stated earlier, if I look at my finances, if I have the same, if I don't, let's look at, let me reword this again. If I look at discipline being a single person, it's different from a person that's married. I can't exercise those same principles that I did with my finances when I was single, because I only had to consider me. So now if I use those over here, now what happens to the marriage? Because now I got to factor in life, I got to factor in mortgage, daycare, and all other things that come along with marriage, as opposed to being single. It was just me. That's all I had to go against.
Right. Absolutely. I feel like the more we have these kind of conversations up front, it creates the framework, the blueprint. It adds to the blueprint of how we operate in our marriage. And so many couples, and Lisa, with you having an accounting background, so many couples do not go through having conversation about money. We'll talk about a lot of different things, but when it comes to money, and I'm talking about before we get married, it becomes very difficult to have certain conversations later on. Still necessary, but becomes very difficult.
Yeah, we had the conversation we had many conversations, but that was definitely one of them, because I feel like if the money ain't right, a whole lot of other stuff ain't gonna be right. Because ain't nothing sexy about a broke person. I'm sorry.
Oh.
just,
my goodness. Such a warm soul, isn't she? Isn't she so warm?
If you homeless, you don't have food in the refrigerator. I mean, even if the man is fine or the woman is fine, like that, if you hungry, like you're not.
So we're talking pre-marriage, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, now that you make that point.
Let's get some context here. Yes,
please. And it could also mean in marriage too. However, them vows is what keeps you there to work through it. Because it's not sexy when you married either. You just, not supposed to move on with your life. Just because life happens,
Because we can't. The lights are off. We burn the candles. It's not okay.
Somebody mad. I'm telling you, somebody's mad if you sitting in the dark.
That's not quality time. That's
not for me. I need to eat every day. If I'm your missus, I need to eat every day. I need to have a house to come home every day. Not just on Tuesday and Wednesday, like every day.
So, you know what? I want to bring up something Tobias's pastor said, and she probably was in my spirit. She said it. She said, "What did she say, Tobias?"
She said, "How can we sleep together and our money don't sleep together?"
Boom. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say.
That's all you.
I mean, that's true. But I think every aspect of your life, right, when you get married, the intent is for it to be intertwined. I mean, the two shall become one, which was a whole nother topic for me. That took me a minute to get, but I got it. So, I mean, I agree with that. And I mean, again, I don't think it's a physical necessarily togetherness. It's the mindset. Like the two of you have agreed to be together and the witness to each other's life. Therefore, everything you do should be for the benefit of moving the unit forward.
Absolutely. So it's really
go ahead, Tobias. And what my pastor was speaking about, Pastor Stewart, she's talking about oneness. And as Lisa just stated, it takes a while for us to get there because, again, we're coming from a single lifestyle, which is primarily a selfish lifestyle. Now I have to consider, again, someone else. And so it may take a while for us to get to that point of sharing, especially sharing my money.
Absolutely. So it's really, really not about the account. It's really not. It's more so about, it goes back to the mindset and intent. So it's one thing to say, hey, I desire to have an account where I don't have to come and tap in. This is a part of our budgeting. This is what we do. And that's a very different intent than someone who has a separate account and they're withholding. And withholding is your intent. That's a totally different conversation. And I think we feel like that a separate account allows us to withhold because it's my money, right? But it's a collective conversation about what comes into the house because we're here living in partnership in the house. Right.
And now, also I think again the intent is that's control. It's like, oh, I'm gonna keep this money off to the side in case you mess up.
Yeah.
And I got getaway money.
Let me tell you, because I talked about this with Tobias. My mother, bless her heart, love you. My grandmother taught her, and it goes back to your money mindset, right? So my grandmother was a single woman raising children, and my mother, now married, she's like, ain't nobody gonna know all my business when it comes to my money. Intentionally, like you're not gonna know what I'm making. We don't have to have that conversation. And so every once in a while, she's in my ear saying, "Now, I know you love him, but always have yourself a little something on the side." Have you heard that before? Always. And it does not align to me. And I understand what she's saying, but it just doesn't align to me. Like, I feel like if I'm in relationship with you and partnership with you, you're going to know what I have.
I think, that's probably some of it, but I also think humans are humans. And so you have to be smart, is what I think she was saying. For her, concrete is money, but I think you just have to be smart. Unlike my husband, he say he check on the accounts. I'm not so sure about that. I can literally rob homeboy blind. He trusts me I wouldn't do that, but I just think it's being smart and aware of what things are going on in your marriage and knowing your significant other or your spouse, because humans are humans and life happens, and what maybe once a person wouldn't do, depending on what happened, they may do now.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
And then you be leaving, and they'll leave you out there looking crazy. And you be like, oh, I never thought he would do that to me. Okay.
But I want to go back to what you said about some getaway money. So I get the concept. And again, that's something that we were actually taught to never, again, as the old adage says, don't put all your eggs in one basket. The left hand should know what the right hand is doing, But again, how can I be fully committed to something half-heartedly?
But you're not. People see, this is the problem with people. They be like, oh, I do. So everything is gonna be peachy keen. It's levels to this commitment.
Absolutely.
So I had a getaway account. Okay.
Did you say had? Did you say had?
Well, technically, I still do, but the intent is different. I don't think about it like that anymore. I definitely
think changed the name on it. It's not a getaway account.
I think it's our. Because I've been with him so long, right? It is our money at this point. But when I first got married, I was like, I didn't go into the marriage with any doubt. But I was like, if this thing don't work out,
Listen,
your girl got to be able to start over.
Oh, you're gonna ask this question to the audience. Money is not a sexy topic. Like, we can talk about a lot of things, but somehow when it comes to money, you hear crickets. Cricket.
Hello, anybody in here?
So much. So let's ask the question: do you have joint or an individual account, and what's the rationale? Let's talk to Tobias.
So we have 3. The individual accounts is not a getaway fund. It's not that. It's just that she had an account before I got here. I had an account before she arrived, so we still have those same individual accounts, and then you just feed, the joint account. However, it's not for those that's listening that are thinking about getting married, you have to do what works for you. And that may come with experiment. This doesn't work. This does work. So it's not a blueprint to say, okay, this is how you should do it. It just comes down to the people involved and how much do you want to do this? And if it works to put all your money in one account, by all means do it. If it doesn't,
I essentially put mine in one because I knew I'd be like, oh, I don't like what you did, so I'm gone. So
you have a joint and individual account too, right?
Mm-hmm. We have all the money goes into one account, and then the way our job sets it up, you can say we'll divert some money, but there's an agreement that we made on what amount that was.
Yeah.
And regardless of who made what, he made more at some point, I made more, we always equally share. So that's another thing. It's not like, because I know some people will say, well, if I make 60%, I should get 60%. So it's like, if we agree that you can have $100 every week, regardless of who makes how much, everybody get $100. It ain't I get 50 and you get 75. None of that nonsense. We're equal in everything that we do. So, it's no competition in that manner.
Yeah, I think for us, because we originally had come from those situations, we definitely had individual accounts, and I was okay with it. Again, it's just the wording, but I'm okay with it because at the end of the day, wherever we have to pull from, we're going to take care of what needs to be taken care of collectively. And so we're not going out and buying extravagant things and not having at least conversation. And I do believe that you should be able to work a job and enjoy the fruit of your labor. I don't think any relationship demands that you're working 40 hours a week or whatever you work and someone else gets to control your money that you're putting in. I mean, I say your money. Control the money that comes from the fruit of your labor. So yes, I agree.
So you're saying it's wrong for her to just give me lunch money every week? That's it? And a little gas money?
Yeah. I can't get with you on the lunch money and gas money. That's what I do to my baby. Like my kids, I don't do that to grown people. Like, what you need? Because I'm gonna tell you, I was in a relationship one time, and I remember the person asking me. I said I needed some money for some pantyhose, and they were like, "Well, do you really need pantyhose?" What? I said, "Oh, I will never be in a situation where I have to ask anybody for some pantyhose."
Okay. That's why you start off right.
So
I'm gonna need to hold something. Okay.
So no, we're not having that kind of relationship. But you brought up something, Lisa, and this is so important. And all of what we're talking about right now is that fixed versus growth mindset, the limiting beliefs. And one of those limiting beliefs is that we sometimes let ego and pride get into, our conversation around money. And how does that show up? At different stages of our lives, we in our careers, we advance. My husband was an entrepreneur, is an entrepreneur. I'm starting my entrepreneurial journey. there are different levels of who brings what in, how much they bring. It changes. But one thing we said, don't let salary differences come between you. Don't do it.
And so I think probably to your point, that's where I think more, to me, the our money conversation comes in. Like, like when I first met my husband, he made more money than me. Then at one point we were together, like basically making the same. And at this point I've surpassed him, but I've never, ever in the time that we've been together brought that up, because it don't matter. Especially when you got kids. They take all the money. Okay. If it's anybody's money, it's my 10-year-old's money. Because we just, before we got on the show, we just bought this joker all these shoes because he needed shoes. And so, I mean, it wasn't like, who's going to pay for this? You know, so I just feel like, again, it's for the benefit of the family. And so I think, and this is definitely somewhat, I guess, gender specific, but I just feel like when it's the woman makes more money versus the man, like it's an ego trip. And so that's like a light, like that's not what you want to do. Like if you want to keep your man and stay married, and I mean, there may be men that just have a problem with it. I've been very blessed. My husband's like, knock yourself out, girl. If that's what you want to do, have at it. You know, he's not that concerned about who makes what and all of that. He's like, are the lights on? Are you going to feed me every day? Right. Am I going to have a house to come to? Like, he cares about things getting done. So we just have never, I mean, I've been truly blessed. We've just never had a situation over who makes what. Because it's just like, this kid run the show. That's
Go ahead, Tobias.
And it's important to take that mindset, to have that mindset of whoever makes the most money is really not that important, especially for the male. Sometimes our egos can be fragile when it comes to that, of who makes the most money. And but the one thing you don't want to do is express that in that manner. You do know I make more money than you. That's not something you want to express.
That hit me in my soul, and I've never said, oh.
So, or if a female is making more, the wife makes more money, and she says, "You do know all this my stuff." You know, that's very hurtful, and you don't want to do that. Again, it's the mindset of sharing. This is ours. This is what we're
sharing
building.
Sharing is caring.
This is what we're building together. And
but
I say
noticed,
that.
But I noticed you said when the woman says, the wife says it.
But no,
because to me, really, I never have noticed in my whole experience of talking to couples, men don't, for the majority of the part, they don't really say that. Because I think it's expected. I think it's expected that in our society, men will take care of women. I think if a man says that to a woman, it's more about control.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So, but in general, I don't know that men really do. Y'all, I don't know that y'all really think about that. I think men assume that if they get married, that that's their role, right or wrong.
Yeah.
Now, if you go around breaking stuff in the house, then that may come up in our mind. You tearing up all my stuff, then that may come up. Now I got to get this fixed. But other than that, no, we don't primarily say, we don't bring that up. But the last thing I'll say before I hand it off to you, Katina, is that you don't want positioning in the house. You don't want the man's position to be overshadowed by the money. You don't want that.
What's your position?
I was gonna see if this was gonna fly. I let it happen, Lisa, but I was gonna see if it was gonna fly.
I was surprised because I wasn't in the second meeting, so I need clarification.
Go ahead, Cal.
I'm good. I can stand on my own 10. I'm good.
Okay. Let's see.
No, what I'm saying is that even though she may make more money than me, I'm still the man of the house. So my voice still needs to be heard and still needs to be respected. So I'm saying don't let the money that you're making trump my position. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I agree with that.
Absolutely.
And then, which is why, I mean, one is mean, but that's why I've never brought it up. He's still the man of the house. So regardless, and all I tell him, you always the man of the house, but you will listen to what I have to say. You may get the last say, but you at least have to consider what I say. Yeah. So I agree with that, regardless of, you know, what happens with my company or whatever. He is always the man in the head of our house, because that's what I believe.
Yeah, and thankfully, because everyone does not have this this privilege, and I consider a blessing, where you know, although my mother and my father had their relationship and how they approach money, there was a very clear understanding and partnership in how the money is brought in, how we spend it, how do we prioritize things. And so I'm grateful that I didn't have an example of my father, you know, splurging on money. He brought the money home, right? We never lacked. And so then being married to someone who has that same upbringing, where we bring the money home and I don't just go out and do what I want to do. I have conversation with you as an adult, but you know, I'm not just going to blow my whole check because I worked for it. And that goes to the next point of sometimes the fixed mindset is that we make individual decisions, but both of us are suffering the consequences. It would be one thing if you made a decision and only you felt it. But when you make a decision and I got to help bail you out, and vice versa, because I haven't always, you know, made decisions that were wise with my husband either. But it's another thing when I have to feel the brunt of your decision. Talk about that.
It has consequences. And I mean, I do agree that it's a blessing when you can be in a relationship where the two of you's values align, because I've been blessed that my husband and I haven't made decisions that have been of dire consequence, which again, I think is the reason why we haven't had arguments over money, because I think about that, and we talk about, you know, the impact. And granted, I think because of my background, I'm always being more strategic in the sense of where we're going. So I'm like, if I make this decision, that's not gonna land right. So I think not only thinking presently about everyday operations, so to speak, you have to think about, if I spend this, how is it going to impact my lifestyle 5-10 years from now?
So let's think about that for a moment as we go into like the next talk about things to consider as we build healthy money mindset in marriage. Ask this question for those who are either with us or you catch on the replay. We'd love to see your comments. How has your individual money mindset advanced or hindered the relationship? Go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, well, I spoke on the last one. The doctor, what you got to say? The doctor, I'm sorry, the counselor, what you got to say? Don't let us spill all the tea. Because you know, counselor.
You know, he's reserved.
Right.
I was just waiting my turn. That's all. I was just waiting my turn.
Go ahead.
I think it has helped. Speaking to the early years of our marriage, it was never rocky when it came to money. We always talked about it, who was going to do what, and delegate. Okay, well, I'll do this, and these are things you'll do. You'll do the groceries, the cable, and stuff like that. We did have a little funny incident. We was watching the game, and I was changing the channels, and the TV just went out. And I was like, and she knew right off. She's like, "That's what I forgot."
Pay the cable.
Yeah, she's like, "I was supposed to do that," and I was like, So again, so it was all good, but it was just a funny moment that we had. But delegating who's going to pay what, and again, keeping the flow of communication open. And if you're going to spend a large amount of money, again, coming from the individual or joint, I think it's just best to run it by your spouse. if the friends say, okay, hey, I'm a little short on cash, can I borrow $20? That's not something I don't think needs to come up with your spouse. Just give them the $20. But if they asking for $1,000, then that's something different. But again, keeping the flow of communication of who's going to do what helps out a lot. And even if, I'll say this, and even if you say, okay, I'm going to pay this, life changes, life happens. So just because I started out paying this doesn't mean I'm going to continue to pay it throughout, because life happens and, you know, we have kids, we have families. And so now I can't do that anymore, or, you know, life happens. So I have to give it back to you.
Absolutely. And
But
I
the
think
key is
that's
communication.
when you think about your individual money mindset, I believe that mine has advanced our relationship, but it's only because I understand, and this is one of our points, is outside of like discussing your lifestyle choices, right? Your lifestyle needs to line up with your actual income. Lisa, you talked about that, not what you wish it was.
Okay. Because as we say at work, hope is not a strategy.
Right.
I hope it happens.
Right. Let your lifestyle align with your money, actual money, not what you wish it was. And this goes back to comparison. You can try to keep up with the Kardashians, the Benjamins, or whoever else we look at. But the reality is, when we get through, our money needs to be supporting it, and you shouldn't have to feel like you couldn't lay your hands on $100 here and there or whatever you need when you have situations like, okay, people, COVID,
which
right?
is a problem, because I mean, I hear the statistic all the time that people literally, you know, I forgot the percentage, but a large number of people have less than $1,000. They couldn't do a major car repair. And there's reasons for that. So, I mean, I'm not being, you know, judgmental. If you don't make the money to have $1,000, that, you know, that's another issue in itself. But if you are a person that is of means and you making money when you should have enough money to make a car repair without really batting the eye, like, you need to look at your finances, because as you said, life happens, and it's a sad day when you're in a predicament where you made the money to account for these kind of things and you don't have it.
Yeah, because you think about it, a lot of us have had careers and we were just able, you get in the habit of kind of buying what you want to buy, doing what you want to do. And if COVID hasn't taught us anything, that in a moment, income can be gone. So that whole richer versus poor, in a moment, you could lose someone to COVID and now be one income where you depended on two incomes. So there's definitely no judgment, but it's an understanding that there is a level of preparation that we need to have at the forefront of our conversations in our marriage, in our relationships about money. My mother taught me something and I hold dear to it. She says, I'm not working anybody's job 40 hours and I don't have anything to show for it. I don't care what bill is out there. If it's $10 of the 100, I'm going to pay God what I need to pay him, but I'm not working any job and you get all my money and I don't have anything. I call
it tricking yourself. Like, before I see a check, it's what I need to do is already done. And then we pay bills and all of that. And so also, like your mom, to extend what your mama said, I'm not working any job that I can't leave. Because I'm leaving at some point.
Yeah,
and it's not going to be because I'm broke down and I just can't work anymore. That's called quit. You didn't retire, you just quit.
Yeah. And you know what? I think sometimes we believe, and Tobias definitely jump in, because, you know, we'll talk, you know how we do.
You know how women do.
Right. But I think for a lot of us, we underestimate the power of compounded investment.
Okay. Ooh, right? You talking my love language, honey.
You know, because I started thinking about when I first started working, $25, even if it's $25, we spend $25 on food. We go to McDonald's, a good meal, McDonald's, wherever you go. is $25 if you know, depending on who you're going, when you're going. So even if it's just that slight shift, and there are so many resources out here for people who are considered low income, but have strategy. There's still strategy for you to save up as a couple, even if it's $10. That's $10 that you have going towards something to better you off. So,
and I think people mistake that the longevity. That I remember when I first started working, y'all. I thought my little savings was so sad. It was literally $30 every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's what I say when I first started. $30 every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But the consistency, over time, you know, and I didn't spend the raise, or whatever I did. If the Lord say the same, as old people say, I'll be good when I leave. But it's consistency with any goal you have, and we didn't really touch on that like we did in the prep session, but it's really creating a plan, the blueprint, and the financial goal that you want to accomplish, and being consistent about it.
Absolutely. And it goes back to what Tobias was saying. And Tobias, you definitely chime in on this one. We were talking about recognize the personality, like know your lane. Know your lane on some things. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if one is usually the spender and one is usually the saver. So if the person is the saver, then your task is to save. And also put some kind of restraints on the spender a little bit. Hey, we need this? So, and that can fluctuate between, with life happening. And the other thing about that is the budgeting. When you talk about having a strategy, no matter where you are in this journey with your finances, it's never too late to implement a strategy, because the end goal again is tomorrow. So, but I have to start somewhere, and I have to be consistent, as Lisa said, because without the consistency, then what exactly are we doing? We're just doing the same thing over again.
Right. My husband gave up on my spreadsheet, because I have a spreadsheet that I look at every 2 weeks. He be like, I'm not looking at that. He like, when I go to the store and the car work, I know we good.
I mean, that's because you all understand the different personality. And I want to put this out here, is that the whole reason you married the person, hopefully, is because you perceive that there was value added, right? Normally, people are not connecting with people that don't add value to them.
Oh, my husband got to come up.
They say I can do bad all by myself. So if you with somebody who's not adding value, that's another conversation, but we need to have it. But you perceive that there is value, but oftentimes we won't allow people to be the value added that we need. And it goes back to our ego and pride. Talk about that. I know you want that one, Tobias. Talk about that.
Well, we can't, even though we are the head of the house, I can't lead everything.
What you say?
And so if I want to lead everything,
is there one?
And so even though I'm the head, I can't lead everything. I can't. So at some point, I have to trust your value that you're going to add. I have to trust that. So, and trust takes time. So it doesn't mean I trust you and then look over your shoulder. Did you do it? That's not trust. So, hey, you know this is due. Hey, you know this. So again, that's not trust. Just again to allow them to do it and allow things to flow.
Absolutely, because the reality is, my husband, for example, I can trust him to save. He's going to be the saver, and I, on the other hand, I do spend. I do. I'm confessing my faults.
Is that why he said his money? Because he don't want you to spend all the money.
Mind your business, Lisa. Mind your business.
Now the truth come out. That's the show, honey.
But I understand, like, whoever's bringing the money in, somebody got to say something. So I tap into that value and then so I'm the one that's normally the one paying the bills, like being responsible for paying out the bills. But Tobias, I am definitely like your wife, because there'll be times when he's ready to turn on the TV and I'll be like, oops, I forgot to pay the cable bill. And he's like, see, if I reminded you, you think it was control. And I just like, look, I got this. When in my mind, I'm saying, dang, I wish he had reminded me.
Well, that happens to me too. I had to get smart about that. So I set up the auto pay. Like I set it up. I boom, boom, boom. And then I set it up. And then by the time I come back next time, it's paid. Because I done that a couple times too. Because I don't want him in there, because I don't know what he does. So I was like, no, I got it.
You don't want him in there.
Right. That didn't come out right, Lisa.
Yeah.
Well, not because he can't know, but if you had a certain way of doing things and then someone else comes behind you and you don't understand, you got to take the time to figure out what they did. It's just like, well, let me figure out a way to pay the cable bill. So when he turned the TV on, especially when it's a crucial game that I don't care nothing about, the TV comes on.
Right. Because that's the part of the partnership that we each get what we need and want, no matter how much. I don't necessarily care if you watch TV or not. I mean, I just don't. But the reality is that's something that you care about. And so me adding value is make sure I do my part. And this goes into our next point. And this is all talking about how do we build healthy money mindset. There is no such thing as 50-50, people. There's just no such thing as 50-50 in a marriage, because it requires that we are on the same team and compromise is necessary. What are you all thoughts on that?
Well, side note, that's why I never get married again, because I discovered after I got married I don't like to compromise, but that's a whole nother situation.
Go ahead, Tobias.
If we're looking in the terms of 50-50, then that means someone is holding back.
Oh, I didn't see that one coming.
I like that.
So again, if someone is holding back, then how can you say you're in love if you're going to be loving with restraints?
Absolutely. God bless you, Bishop Melton. He's coming on. We're talking about money today. Money.
There's crickets up in the room. Y'all watching and ain't saying nothing? We all in your pew today?
When you talk about money is not sexy. Money is not sexy.
But it is. I'm telling you, when you can't eat, it ain't nothing sexy about that.
It's not sexy, Lisa. I don't care what you say. It's only sexy when you have a lot of it.
Oh, well, maybe because I'm working on it.
Right.
I'm working on having a lot of it.
So let us know your thoughts. He said all of the money goes into the same pot. Absolutely, Bishop Belton. Absolutely. So you're on my side on that one too. But anyway, I think we all are saying that.
See how she do.
Yeah.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. Okay, so the last thing that we want to talk about in terms of things to consider as we build healthy money mindset in marriage. This is so important. We talked about discussing your lifestyle choices, that your lifestyle needs to line up with your actual income, not what you wish it to be. Recognize the personality that know your lane. Are you a spender versus a saver? The honor system, come together, have that conversation, compromise, because there's no 50-50. And then the last thing is set the expectations together. There has to be an end game. Talk about setting financial team goals or strategies, Lisa. Talk about that since you have that accounting background.
Okay. So first of all, goals change. I think it was Tobias or mentioned about, you could have kids, all sorts of things could happen. And so as an example, right before I had my son, my husband and I went on a baby moon, I guess is what they call it. And he just came up with this brilliant idea. Like, when we retire, we want to have a home base, but we want to live in different places, like at 3 months at a time. Like, that changed the whole game as far as what we were planning. And so the financial goal can be anything.
Right.
But the idea is that the couple is working together and you are aligning your finances in accordance to that goal. And as Tobias said, it's all about communication. If you decide that you have a different financial goal that you want to put out there, it's about communication and to help better ensure that y'all are on the same page. And even if it's your individual goal, that the spouse is willing to help to support that, because that accomplishing that will lead to that happiness. But if the spouse is happy, then the happiness fed back into the relationship. So and also don't have too many, because having too many financial goals kind of dilutes and can distract you from reaching goals in a I wouldn't say timely manner, but in a manner which is progressive. So they're important, because you can spend money and time and all of a sudden they're gone. So it's an exercise that has to be very intentional on top of being very consistent.
Yeah, Tobias, you brought up something concerning having a goal in mind, that just don't be saving just because of saving for the heck of it. Just talk about that some more.
Yeah, if you're going to save, I thought that if we have a goal in mind, then things work out better, as opposed to say, okay, as Lisa stated, I was just saving $30. But if we save with the intent of doing something, then I think the outcome is much better. If we use the example, we're saving this money for vacation, we're saving this money for a house, saving this money for a new car, saving this money for daycare or school, then as opposed to just saying, okay, I'm just putting the money away just because there's no goal attached to it, then sometimes it loses its luster and it loses attention and we lose focus because, okay, I'm just doing this just because now.
Yeah. And you know what? And I'm going to bring this up. We didn't necessarily discuss this, but I think it's so crucial. And you don't have to have all the knowledge when it comes to financial education. There are so many resources out here. I think about my mother. My mother, didn't necessarily go to a 4-year college and get a master's and a doctorate and all of that. But the amount of money and I ain't gonna tell all her business because she will.
No, she'll get you.
Oh yeah. It took me. How old am I? 49. It took me this long to finally figure out a piece of her business. But the amount of discipline that it takes to amass this money that she did on a job that wasn't necessarily always paying top dollar, but it's that discipline because there was an end game. There's an
not how much you make, is how much you save.
Absolutely. So we shouldn't be having, and I have to say this, saints of God, we shouldn't always have to have chicken dinner sales to bury our loved ones.
Ooh. Okay.
I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to put it out there. We shouldn't always have to have that, because there are so many opportunities for life insurance. If you don't know, there are people who want to help, but we shouldn't always have to do that route when it comes to.
Say again.
Go ahead. Say it again.
I said, here we have this thing called pass the hat. They pass the hat around. You put you empty your pockets. So, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a lot. Maybe it's just the burial cost. Maybe it's just that, but it's worth a conversation. So we hope that you've gotten something out of this conversation in terms of money mindset. Thank you so much to those who have participated. But I just feel like, and Lisa, thank you for bringing this topic up, because like I said jokingly that it's not a sexy conversation in light of what's going on with COVID. But truth be told, a lot of us were having money issues before COVID, right?
And COVID just blew us out the water.
Yeah, there's been a lot of areas. My husband and I live alone, but there were times when we were eating out because of the lifestyles we live. It was nothing to eat out every day. I mean, I'm going to work, I pick something up coming back. But the amount of money that you waste by not saving that, I looked at the taxes, I'm like, dang, we could have had, right? So I'm glad we brought up the conversation for anybody who's getting on the replay. Let this be a blessing. Share it with other people because it's truly worth the conversation. Go ahead, you all.
No, I mean, I think we can leave it right there. I have nothing to add. I agree. It's not sexy, but I think it's so necessary. And I think it's also, and maybe I'm biased, just because of the good fortune I've had that not having to be burdened with the thought of where's my next meal coming? Can I pay the light bill? Alleviates stress off of your marriage, and therefore you can focus on the things that are important to the both of you or individually.
Yeah. And let me put this out here because I don't want to offend anyone when it says chicken dinners, because Black people, we like chicken dinners in a lot of ways. This has nothing to do with race, because there are a number of people who are unprepared in a lot of ways for that, a burial and what have you, and life insurance. But because I am who I am, and my reference comes from the fact that oftentimes we just don't have the money for it, and we want to give that person, send them off well, but we haven't necessarily prepared, and then we go into debt. Mm-hmm. Now they're gone, and we want to somehow make them feel like we love them, and we want to send them off well, but then we go into debt, and it's just a compounded system of oppression. Debt can oppress you. Yes. It is oppressive. So yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. Didn't want to go off in the deep end, but I thought it was worth saying.
We're gonna let you have the last word, whole husband.
Yes, whole husband.
Well, I was going to close with make sure you have good communication with your spouse about money. It's never a bad time to implement some type of strategy with your money. And again, it's our money. You hear that, Lisa? Our money? Okay. And so
I don't hear that.
So and allow the person to be the value that's added to the marriage.
Absolutely. That's a good way.
Good end, yes.
Absolutely. So please connect with us. Thank you for joining in this discussion. Make sure again that you follow us, connect with us, hit the notification so you know when we go live. Share, comment if you're catching us on the replay. We definitely respond to the comments. If you have questions, need resources, we have people who we can connect you to and places that we connect you to. So thank you again. If you need to stay connected with us, I'm at Dr. KC Fuller Scott on Facebook. Lisa?
I am the Lionheart Society LLC on Facebook and Instagram. And also you can reach me through my website at www.thelionheartsociety.com.
And
you can reach me on Facebook at Tobias Towers on Facebook, and on Instagram it's Ittrick Towers, Ittrick Tobias, words give me life.
Absolutely.
_77.
Sorry about that. Absolutely. Remember that money mindset matters. Great intentions without strategy is just a dream. Thank y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
Take care.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.